Support for Southwest Stages provided by the Thirsty Ear American Icon Series, dedicated to bringing the greatest blues, folk, Cajun, Zydeco, and roots rock artists to New Mexico. A schedule of events is on the web at thirstyearfestival.com. And by Miggs Pro Systems, New Mexico's professional sound reinforcement and backline specialists for live concerts, corporate events, fairs, and raves. Booking information available at 505-984-8606.
From the heart of the Southwest in Albuquerque, New Mexico, this is Southwest Stages. I'm your host, John Strader.
Well, you know I've been rambling this old road so long, and I ain't got no place to call my home. I need someone to watch over me.
On this edition of Southwest Stages, we'll travel to the 2002 Thirsty Ear Music Festival in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The Thirsty Ear Festival features Americana, roots, and blues music in an Old West setting straight out of the 1800s. The festival is held annually Labor Day weekend at the J.W. Eaves Movie Ranch just south of Santa Fe. The Eaves Ranch has been the site of countless Western movies and is the backdrop for this unique music festival. On this hour, we'll feature an incredible blues artist whose style is hard to define. He takes the roots of the blues, mixes in traditional African-American folk music, and the oral tradition of storytelling to create a true representation of traditional rural blues. Tune in on this edition of Southwest Stages as we feature music by Guy Davis and interviews with our guest host, New Mexico blues expert, Putnay, coming up on this edition of Southwest Stages.
That 61 highway is the loneliest road that I know. She run from New York City, run right by my baby's door. City Greyhound buses, they don't run. You know, some people say that the City Greyhound buses, they don't run. Well, you ought to go to West Memphis, baby. Look down Highway 61. Please see somebody for me. I said, please. Oh, please see somebody for me. If you see my baby, tell her she's all right with me. If I should happen to die, baby, honey, for you think my time have come. If I should happen to die, sweet baby, honey, for you think my time have come. I want you to bury my body right down there by Highway 61. Thank you. That's Mississippi Fred McDowell right there. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you, thank you. The song I'm going to do now is called Home Cooked Meal. I want a home cooked meal. Nobody, baby, cook like mine. I want a home cooked meal. Nobody's baby cook like mine. Jump over, all you pretty women. Oh, oh, baby, to get home for supper time. Listen to me now. When she greased my skillet, she make the fire hot. She sit down to the table, eat up everything I got. Oh, Lord, I want a home-cooked meal. Nobody, baby, could like mine. Jump over, oh, you pretty woman. Mama took it home for supper time. Listen here. When she fry my bacon, she cooks it nice and brown. When she fix my sausage, she turns it round and round. I want a home cooked meal. Nobody, baby, could like. Jump over, each and every one of you pretty women. Oh, mama, to get home for supper time. Baby, what's that you cooking? Honey, you make it so nice, I'm gonna have to eat it twice. Why you turn up that fire, baby? It's getting hot in here. What is that now? No. Ow! Oh, stop! No, turn it down, turn it down. Oh, man, made me spill it all over the stove here, man. Probably should be on top of the stove anyway. Oh, listen. I love to eat her muffins. Look so nice and round. But when I eat her pudding, it feels good going down. I want a home-cooked meal. Nobody, baby, could like mine. Jump over, all you pretty women. Oh, oh, mama, to get home for supper time. Jump over, all you pretty women. Mama took it home for supper time. Thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Guy Davis, captured live at the 2002 Thirsty Ear Music Festival in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm your host, John Strader, and this is Southwest Stages. Now let's give up the mic to our guest host, New Mexico blues expert Putnay, as he talks backstage with Guy Davis.
But tell me how you got off into music after having parents that were well-respected actors and actresses.
I think I got into music to establish kind of an independent identity from them. I wanted to be more my own man. I felt a lot was expected of me being their son, and it still is in certain ways. But in a funny kind of way, this music has led me right back around to the theater, because I tell more stories and do more acting now than I did when I was a professional actor and couldn't make a living.
But now this is not to say that your stage show is an act.
Depends which stage show you've seen.
No, but wait a minute. Okay, so that leads to the next question then. You've done some acting, you've had a play out.
Yeah, the acting I've done goes way back beyond that play. I used to be on a soap opera, and then I was on One Life to Live till I got fired. Best thing ever happened to me, because that's how I became a writer.
Seriously?
Yeah. And then before that, I was in this movie called Beat Streets. I was a hip hopper, one of them kinds. And now,
typecasting.
well, not for me really. I'm from New York City, but not my spirit, just my body. You know. The theater has led me to do. I've been in theater all over New York City, mostly up in Harlem, and I played the part of Robert Johnson in this play called Robert Johnson Tricked the Devil. That's been produced, I guess, 6 different cities in the States. But my best and favorite work was something called In Bed with the Blues: The Adventures of Fishy Waters. I wrote that just about 10 years ago, and it's taken me around the world, man. I've done it in Australia, done it in the United Kingdom, in the States, up in Canada. So I'm just so full of talent, I need a laxative. You hear me, Putney? It's just, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I can tell by the records, but, that's not all there is to Guy Davis, obviously.
Well, yeah, I'm just full of lots of stuff. Just remember that. I mean, my life is so changed now, Putney. I got 5 agents around the world, including Canada, Australia, the UK, and they're supposed to look after me to get me work. And I got a manager to watch the agents to make sure they get me work. Now I'm gonna have to get an accountant to watch the manager. Then I gotta get a lawyer to watch the accountant. And then I gotta get a rifle to watch the lawyer. Right. So I don't know where to go from there. Yeah.
Huh? You can make a good blues song out of that one.
Yeah. I've experienced some of those economic blues. Yeah.
Okay.
If you looked at the shape of the universe, it's kind of like a spiral, like a coil. So you can go out and you go around, and you go up to the high point, you get to the low point, to the side point. That's just like the calendar. January is at the top, and June is at the bottom. So you're always getting back to the same places, and you're still going forward at the same time. It's hope that made sense. That was one of them Einstein kind of comments, It's just, well. Is this on? I'm sorry. Okay.
Guy Davis's theory of relativity.
Yeah, the theory about my relatives. He's talking about my relatives. You see, he brought that up. My gosh. If you love somebody. If you love somebody, you better tell him right now. If you love somebody, you better tell him right now. If you love somebody, you better tell him right now. You may look around one morning, they'll be gone. And if you love your mother, you better tell her right now. If you love your mother, you better tell her right now. If you love your mother, you better tell her right now. You may look around one morning, she'll be gone. If you love your father, and if you love your father, sing it with me. If you love your father, if you love your father, you better tell him right now. You may look around one morning, he'll be gone. If you love your sister, and if you love your sister, what? If you love your sister, if you love your sister, you better tell her right now. You may look around one more, she'll be gone. If you love your brother, singing. You better tell him right now. If you love your brother, you better tell him right now. You may look around one morning, he'll be gone. If you love your neighbor, and if you love your neighbor, come on. If you love your neighbor, if you love your neighbor, you better tell him right now. You may look around one more, he'll be gone. If you love somebody, thank you. Pressure's down, boss ain't here, he's gone north for a little while. They say that vanity got the best of him, 'cause he sure left here in style. By the way, there's a cute hat that you're wearing, honey, and a smile so hard to resist. What's a sweetheart like you doing in a dump like this? I once knew a woman that looked like you. She wanted a whole man, not just a half. She used to call me sweet daddy when I was only a child. You kind of remind me of her, the way you laugh. In order to deal in this game, you gotta make the queen disappear. You know it's done with a flick of the wrist. What's a sweetheart like you doing in a dump like this? A woman like you should be at home. That's where you belong. Taking care of somebody really, really nice who don't know how to do you wrong. But just how much abuse would you be able to take? Baby, there's no way to tell by the very first kiss. What's a sweetheart like you doing in a dump like this? You could make a name for yourself, honey. You could hear those tires squeal. You could be known as the most beautiful woman who ever crawled across cut glass to make a deal. You know news of you has come down the line even before you got in the door. In your daddy's house there's many, many mansions, and each one of them got a fireproof floor. Well, snap out of it, baby. People are jealous of you. They smile in your face, but behind your back they hiss. What's a sweetheart like you doing in the dump like this? gotta be an important person to be in here, honey. You gotta done some evil deed. You gotta have your own harem when you walk in the door. You gotta be able to play your harp until your lips bleed. They say that patriotism is the last refuge to which a scoundrel clings. Steal a little and they throw you in jail, but steal a lot and they make you king. And on a one step down from here, baby, it's called the land of permanent bliss. What's a sweetheart like you doing in a dub like this? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, man. Once upon a time, there was a young man named Doak Ramsey. Doak loved a girl named Juanita. Juanita lived in a place called Shiloh Bay. Doak lived in a place called Joppatown. Every morning very early, Doak would catch the first ferry from Joppatown over to the shore at Shiloh Bay. He'd stand up on the dock with a cigarette poked in his mouth. Juanita's light would go on. She'd bring him down a cup of coffee. And they'd wait there for the fishing boats to come. He worked as a rigger. He'd rig the nets and sails on the fishing boats so that the men could make their living. This morning, first boat showed up was a gambling boat. They needed a rigger for the sails. He went out on that boat, and the work was real easy. Once the sails were rigged, the decks were already swabbed. There was a cook in the galley, and gamblers never sleep. So he had a lot of time on his hands, and he gambled, and he won. He had such a good time that after about a week, he stopped going out on the fishing boats altogether. Just went out on that gambling boat. After a while, though, he started losing. Started losing big and bad. Thought if he kept playing, he'd win, but he didn't, so he started stealing. He got caught. And he had to go to prison for a good long time. Now, while Doak was in prison, he got word that his mother died. And the warden told him he could have a day's furlough to go to her funeral. And on that day, Doak left that prison with chains on his wrists and ankles, accompanied by two marshals. They drove him to a little church by the sea over in Joppatown. But when they got there, the doors were locked. The funeral was over. They had missed it. So they drove from there to the cemetery. When they got there, Doak looked out of the car. Over by the willow tree, he saw a crowd of people, and he recognized almost every face in that crowd. Doak got out of that car, dragging those chains with him. People heard him coming before they saw him. He waded into the crowd, and every step he took, somebody hugged him, somebody kissed him, somebody held him. And by the time he got over to his mother's graveside, his eyes were blind with tears. But he knew the last person who hugged him. That was Juanita. There was an old blind man standing by the grave. He had a guitar, and he began to sing a song. I'm a stranger in this land. Sometimes I need a helping hand, Lord, helping hand. Sometimes I need a helping hand. I'm tired of wandering all around. I wanna go back to Joppatown, Lord. Joppa Town. I wanna go back to Joppa Town. There's a kingdom by the sea. There's an angel waits for me. Waits for me, Lord. She waits for me. I got an angel. She waits for me. If I die on this road, don't you leave me where I fall, Lord, where I fall. Please don't you leave me where I fall. Lift my body from this ground, carry me over to Joppa Town. Joppa Town, Lord, Joppa Town. I wanna go back to Joppa Town. In the graveyard by the willow tree, next to my mother, space for me, Lord, make space for me. Next to my mother, make space for me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Song by Sleepy John Estes. Song is called What You Doing. The refrain of this song goes, you got to give in kind just for what you do. That means you have to pay for your lifestyle. Hope that's what it means. That's what I've been telling everybody. Well, I married my baby, married her for myself, and if I can't keep her, don't want nobody else. You got to give in kind just for what you're doing. Well, I hate to hear a train whistle blow, make my feet start itching, make me want to go. You got to give in kind just for what you're doing. Well, you ain't no angel, but don't you tell me no lie. Did my baby stop here, or did you keep going by? You got to give in kind just for what you're doing. When a man's out working, know he doing what's right. Some low-down rascal trying to steal his wife. You got to give in kind just for what you're doing. got up this morning, I couldn't make no time. I didn't have no blues, messing up my mind. You got to give in kind, just for what you're doing. Well, come here, baby, I won't be mean no more. Give you all of my love, let that black snake go. You got to give in kind, just for what you're doing. Early in the morning, rag tied around her head, asked her to cook your breakfast, but she never did. You got to give in kind, just for what you're doing. Thank you.
The music of Guy Davis, captured live at the 2002 Thirsty Ear Music Festival, held at the J.W. Eaves Movie Ranch in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm your host, John Strader, and this is Southwest Stages. We'll have more music, and our guest host, Putnay, will finish talking with Guy coming up right after this short break.
Go now, where the Candyman been here and gone. Candyman, he been here and gone. Yeah, the Candyman, he been here and gone. I do anything in this goddamn world just to get that Candyman home. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Southwest Stages Radio travels the Southwest to bring you great live music recorded at venues, concerts, and festivals. A list of events covered by Southwest Stages is online at southweststages.org. Southwest Stages would like to thank our broadcast partners, KRIM 96.3 FM in Payson, Arizona, KSJD 91.5 in Cortez, Colorado, and KUNM 89.9 FM in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Guy, your music is, it seems it's blues-based, but it's hard to describe it in terms of just strictly traditional type blues, you know? You got some elements of some ragtime sounding, old-timey, and stuff like this, you know? How would you describe your music?
Well, first of all, my definition of the old-time blues is folk music of African-American people. So I take it from that point of view, and I'm allowed to stick all kinds of stuff in there, man. I'm trying to study up about black banjo players. A cat named Dink Roberts was a black fella from the Appalachian area. So all this, I think, needs to be included, because you'll find the banjo tends to be on the older songs, and the blues came along beginning of 20th century, and then things started to switch to guitar. I don't know how to explain just what the difference is. You'd have to listen to it. But it's all included in what and who I am. All this banjo, this guitar, this stomping, clapping. If it smacks of gospel music or spiritual music, then that's fine too. You can talk to Eric Bibb about that. He can wear that out.
Well,
the blues has got all that in it.
Well, he was saying the exact same thing when we interviewed him today, or yesterday. He said the same thing. They were all incorporated. He was making a definite point of saying that this Old Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack, it kind of opened up some doors, because it kind of had some crossover appeal, because it had a lot of different types of music, but they're all related.
Yep.
Would you say the same type of thing?
I would say not only are they related, not only is there great crossover appeal, but if it wasn't for the 99.9% white people I find in my audience, I'd starve to death. I wouldn't make a living. So I got to cross over.
Right.
It got to be a lot of crossover appeal.
Well, that brings up another issue that I wanted to ask you. You know, you and Eric Bibb and Otis Taylor and these people, they're bringing like the traditional black music, and they are African Americans themselves.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call it a trend, but I think it's nice to see, you know, black people doing African American music. You know, what do you think about that?
I think it's great. Black folks doing African American music and Afro Americans doing black music. All those kind of little mixed things are good for me. Black people need to pick up their own culture and recognize that it is treasure, that it is gold and diamonds laying in the dust, and it's got to be picked up and respected and propagated and spread and shown. I think it's wonderful. It's time. This is the new millennium. We have a chance here to make the world over. If we don't blow it up first, we got a chance to make it over.
That's true.
Well, once upon a time, there was a young man born in Chula, Mississippi. His mom and daddy were sharecroppers. That's what they wanted him to do, but he had other dreams. He wanted to be a musician. He wanted to go to Nashville, maybe Memphis, make blues records. That's what he wanted to do. Now, he used to sneak out of the house, go over to Uncle Juno's house. Of all his aunts and uncles, Juno was his favorite. Friends, neighbors, and total strangers would come from miles around to sit on Juno's front porch in the evening, watch the sun turn from orange to red. It'd be a great big pitcher of lemonade. Some of the men would go sneak off to the bushes and fill up their drinks with a little bottle of hooch that they stashed out there, you know. And then Juno would come out there and he'd sing all these songs with his guitar. They all knew those songs. Won't you come here now, baby? Lay down by my side. Won't you come here now, baby? Lay down by my side. Well, your daddy got something gonna keep you satisfied. Well, if fish swim in the river, swim out to the sea. Yeah, the fish swim in the river, swim out to the sea. There's something about your love, girl. Honey got a hold on me. Oh yeah, he'd sit out on that porch and sing songs like that. Then he'd sit up and tell stories about his old days on the road as a hobo. Stories that delighted the kids and the adults alike. But then when it got late, the kids would get sent upstairs to bed. But they wouldn't just lay in bed with the blues. No, they'd get up, tiptoe over by the open window above the porch with the lights out and sit there and listen to the stories and conversations that they weren't supposed to hear. That's where they were when they heard that Juno had made a blues record once in Memphis. But because he couldn't read, he didn't understand the contract that he signed, and the record man tricked him out of all his money. And when they caught that record man, the judge gave him 6 weeks in jail. But the same judge turned around and gave Juno 6 months. That was for busting them records over that man's head. Records were very heavy back then. While the kids were up at that window, they also heard that Juno was an alcoholic. They heard the adults warn him never to let the children see him drink, even though they always did. At some point or other, almost everybody in that family had drinking problems, because you see, they'd grown up in a climate of race hate and lynchings, and they'd chop cotton in the hot sun, cut wood, plowed rows, drawn gum from trees. Juno had done all those jobs, plus a dozen more, including carpenter and plumber. But Juno was the first person ever to put a guitar in that young boy's hands. Taught him how to play it to him. By the time he grew to be a man, he could play that thing pretty good. But then one day, Juno took sick. He couldn't play anymore. And he sent for the young man. Young man came. He asked that young man to go fetch his guitar for him. Young man went and got it. When he came back, Juno just sat and stared at that guitar for a long, long time. Then he said, "Well, I guess this guitar is yours now. It won't do me no good. Why don't you play me a tune on it?" So the young man wanted to show off his stuff to his uncle, so he began to play. Wake up, mama, turn your lamp down low. Whoa, wake up, mama, turn your lamp down low. Have you got the nerve to drive a good man from your door? Mama died and left me reckless. Daddy died and left me wild. Mama died, left me reckless. Daddy died and left me wild. Well, I ain't good looking, but I'm some sweet woman's angel child. He looked over at his uncle. His uncle had fallen asleep with a great big smile on his face. But he never woke up. And that was when the young man decided that there was nothing left for him in Chula, Mississippi. So 2 weeks after they buried his favorite uncle, he grabbed his hat, his coat, and his new guitar, and he set out on the road. He walked and walked the whole first day long, didn't get no food to eat. He walked underneath that hot sun, walked and walked until the sun went down and the moon rose up. That night he laid down in a field underneath a tractor. The grass was his bed, the flowers were his pillow, and his blanket was the stars. But in the morning when he woke up, he was so hungry he thought about turning around, going back home. But he come too far and he had to keep moving. And walked the whole second day long, didn't get no food to eat. That night he laid down in a ditch beside the road. He closed his eyes, he said a prayer. He said, "Lord, dear Lord, if you could see to it that I get a little bit of food to eat, I know I'd feel like going on a little bit further." And just then he heard a truck come rumbling up the road. The truck said, when the truck got to the spot in the road where he was laying in the ditch, that truck hit a bump. Can of peaches fell off the back of that truck, rolled down in the ditch right beside him like to knock him in the head. He opened up that can with his knife, he drank that sweet syrup, and he ate those juicy peaches. But in the morning when he woke up, found himself in a dirt road town, went up to this old wooden shack, and he knocked on the door. Little boy answered. He looked down at that boy. He said, son, is your mama home?" Little boy looked up at him and said, "Mm-hmm." He looked down at the boy and said, "Would you tell her come to the door, please?" Little Little boy went back inside. He said, Mama, Mama, there's a man at the door. Little boy's mama came to the door. She had 2 babies, one at each breast. She had 3 more children around her legs. He looked inside behind the door. He counted 1, 2, 3, 4 more children on a mattress in the corner. He could see right away he wasn't getting any food there. So he just walked on toward the railroad track. And when he got there, stood up on the railroad track, turned his face to the north, and he started walking. Walked the whole morning long with the sun beating down on him. Sweat dripped off the top of his head. It burned when it ran into his eyes. You could taste that sweat coming in the corners of his mouth. But he walked and walked and walked and walked till the sun went down and the moon rose up, followed by the stars. That night he was tired, it was cold, and he was lonely. Worst of all was the loneliness. Just then he came to a place where he could see a light through the bushes. He walked in closer, wanted to see what it was. It was a bunch of men sitting around a campfire, and we're talking hobo talk and eating hobo stew. Those men had come to that place because in the morning 2 trains was coming, the northbound Southern Central, carrying folks up to St. Louis, Chicago, all the way to Canada if they want to go. Westbound Virginia fly would take folk to Nashville, Memphis, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, all the way to California if they want to go. As he looked around from one face to another, he could see that these were good men, most of them. Walked long miles down long, dusty roads. They were hot, they were tired, they were dirty from their travels. And he had the eeriest feeling he could tell where it had all been, where it was all going to. He could feel the heat they'd endured and the flies they'd swatted. He could feel the dried, parched throat aching with thirst for water. He could see them huddled together on bitter cold nights during the frost, shivering, holding each other to keep from freezing. You could tell by the way they held their heads when they laughed that they'd been cursed at, spit on, had stone thrown at them, and been chased by dogs. But they had survived. One fella had a piece of metal in his pocket, had a guitar on his lap. He took that metal out of his pocket, put it on his finger, started sliding that metal up and down on the strings like this. They began to sing this song. Woke up this morning, feeling around for my shoes. You could tell I had made them all. Oh, walking blues. I woke up this morning, feeling around for my shoes. You could tell right there now, child, babe, had the walking blues. Some people say the worry, old blues ain't bad. That the worst old feeling I most ever had, Lord. Well, some people they say the word old blues ain't bad. Worst old feeling that child, I most ever had. Sometimes I feel like blowing my old lonesome home. I woke up this morning, everything I had was gone, Lord. Sometimes I feel like blowing my lonesome home. Woke up this morning, every doggone thing I had was gone. Morning if I had to, or ride the blinds. Been mistreated, mommy, I know I don't mind dying. Yes, I'm leaving. If I had to, or ride the blinds. Been mistreated, now, child, babe, and I don't mind dying. Thank you. They give me one more. They give me one more. Listen. Oh. Better not waste it yapping. I better get to it. I gotta get busy around this town. Yes, a hand for the hard-working stage crew. People keep the lights and the sound, everything function. Very difficult. All the staff, everybody out here working. Song I'm getting ready to do is called Watch Over Me. It's a song of love and protection. I used to sing it for my son at night to get him to go to sleep. My son, we could all use some protection, that's right. Well, my son's running around here tonight somewhere. He was back over in that outdoor jail with boys. He just loves it. I had to stop singing it to him, though, because he learned it. He'd sing it to me. I'd go to sleep. Be my shelter from the storm. Please hold me in your loving arms. I need somebody, someone to watch over me. When I ain't got nothing, when I'm all out and down, please, please remember me. When I'm 6 feet in the ground, I need somebody, oh, someone to watch over me. Well, I try to call you through the wind and through the cold. I couldn't find nobody, Lord, not to save my soul. I need somebody, oh, someone to watch over me. Well, I've been rambling this old road so long, and I ain't got no place to call my home. I need somebody, someone to watch over me. I laid down last night, laid down across my bed. Wow, these were the words rushing through my head. I need somebody, someone to watch over me. Listen to me before I go. There's just one thing that I want you to know. somebody, someone to watch on for me.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Southwest Stages. You've been listening to Guy Davis performing live at the 2002 Thirsty Ear Festival, held annually Labor Day weekend in Santa Fe, New Mexico. More information about the festival is at thirstyearfestival.com. I'd like to thank Guy Davis for allowing Southwest Stages to record his performance for this broadcast. I'd also like to take this time to thank some of the people who made this show possible. Thanks to Mike Coster, the staff and volunteers of the Thirsty Ear Festival, the staff at the J.W. Eaves Movie Ranch,
All right, I gotta play this Australian flute for you.
Miguel Castillo, Orion, and Miggs Pro Systems, and special thanks to our guest host, Putnay. Southwest Stages would not be possible without the hard work and dedication of our volunteer staff. I'd like to take this time to thank the Southwest Stages crew. Engineer and Operations Manager, Nola Daves Moses. Engineer and Technical Director, Chip Borton. Engineers and Production Crew, Axel Corral and Brandon Kennedy. Audiovisual Specialist, Jim Flynn. Voice work provided by David House. And special thanks to Daphne Strader for all of her help and support. The engineer for this show was John Strader. For a schedule of upcoming shows, broadcast times, member stations, or more information, please check out our website at southweststages.org. For questions and comments, send email to strader@southweststages.org. That's STRADER@southweststages.org. I'm John Strader, the producer and host of Southwest Stages. Thank you so much for listening. Tune in next week as we hit the road in search of more great live music around the Southwest, right here on Southwest Stages.
Support for Southwest Stages provided by the Thirsty Ear American Icon Series, dedicated to bringing the greatest blues, folk, Cajun, Zydeco, and roots rock artists to New Mexico. A schedule of events is on the web at thirstyearfestival.com. And by Resort Quest in Telluride, Colorado. Resort Quest Vacation Rentals provides vacation home and condominium rentals in premier beach, mountain, and desert resorts across North America. More information at resortquest.com or 888-683-9836.
Next time on Southwest Stages, we'll travel to Telluride, Colorado's Town Park for a special summer concert put on by Telluride's public radio station, KOTO. Tune in for interviews and a high-energy performance by Michael Franti and Spearhead.
Do we have any freaky people out here? Starvation is a creation of the devil, a rebel. I'm bringing food to the people like a widow, bringing flowers to a grave in the middle of the city. Isolation is the riddle. To be surrounded by a million other people.